Hello friends and welcome to your FriYay Pick a Card with me, Intuitive Rene. Lovely to have you join me once again. We are practically in the middle of December. Can you believe it? It's just crazy. I was looking at the calendar just before I started recording this, and I was looking to see how many FriYays we have left for the year, and it's like this one. We have one more and then it's Christmas, and I think then it's New Year. So really, this is my second to last FriYay for the year. I will do one next week, and I will have content, my normal content for the rest of the month. But I'm just not going to do FriYays. But what I am going to be doing during the month of for what's left of December is I'm going to try and do as many live sessions as I possibly can. I am taking a break from my readings. I am taking a break from consulting from, I think it's the 15th of December. So during that period when I am on leave, I will still put out my normal content, except for the FriYays, because FriYays are going to be busy days. And but I will be trying to connect and do some live readings as often as possible, because we need to have some fun and we need to let our hair down a little bit. So today's FriYay, as you can see by the topic up here, is the voices in your head. Quite ominous, isn't it? The voices in your head. So basically what happened is these FriYay videos, I'm not a planner. I'm not the kind of person who sits with a calendar or a schedule and plans and structures, for weeks or months ahead as to what I'm going to be doing. I probably should be that person, but I'm really not. So basically what I do, FriYay videos, I record on a Thursday. Okay, so the day before, I basically sit in the office and go, right, so what are we doing? And connect with spirit and say, what are we going to be, what's our topic, what's our theme, what are we going to be working on? Okay, so I hand over to spirit, connect with spirit, and listen to the voices in my head. And today, this is basically what spirit came through with. The spirit was saying, you know what, listen to the voices in your head. And what they were saying to me is, with all of you out there, with everybody out there that's connecting with this particular video at any time, it doesn't matter if it's in 2020, 2021, or whatever it is, whenever you connect with this video, we have to understand that we have voices in our head. We have spirit that's talking to us. We have angelic realms. We have family members. We have spirit. We have voices in our head. Sometimes we listen. Sometimes we don't. Sometimes we should, and sometimes we shouldn't. So our focus today is going to be on paying attention to the voices in our head, trying to recognize what they're saying, whether we should be listening, whether we shouldn't be listening, and so on. So that was the topic, or that was the kind of conversation that I had with spirit in my head today, and what brought about this particular topic and theme for us. So spirit have given me 4 questions, which we're going to be working through, and I always like to give as much as I can, because my entire channel is all about helping you be the best version of yourself. That is something I truly believe in, and I believe that we're never complete, we're never finished. We often have challenges and tackles and things that we have to tackle in life, I should say. And once we've achieved that, once we've accomplished that, once we've overcome that, we move on to the next. And so it goes. It's just this kind of never-ending cycle of evolution, of improvement, of becoming bigger, better, and more fabulous people. And if I can help each one of you in a little way, then fabulous. Then I'm excited. Then my life is good. All right. So I put these videos together. I put all this content together to help you be the best version of yourself. And in return, all we ask is for a thumbs up if you resonate with the video. And as always, I'd love to hear a comment from you below. So for those of you finding my channel for the first time, for those of you who are watching one of my videos for the first time, welcome. It's lovely to have you here. And the way that these FriYay videos work, so first of all, they come out every Friday, except on Christmas and New Year. But otherwise, every Friday, these videos will be published. These videos will be released for you. Different topic each week. And as I've explained to you, I don't put any kind of planning, any kind of strategy in. I just go with it when it's time to push the record button, okay? And allow spirit to guide it. So I am a little bit of a tarot addict, as you all can see. I have tarot cards all over the place, everywhere. So I do like to use my cards in my readings, but yeah, we do mostly just listen to what spirit have to say as well. So the way that these videos work is I have a couple of bundles and I record separate videos. I compile them all into one and I put it all up on for you. So in a bit, I'm going to put an image on the screen, which is going to show you the bundles that are available to you. So it'll give you photos of the cards. And you then need to just pick one which is going to be the one that has the reading, the message, the guidance, and the inspiration that you need in your life right now. And once you know which video you're going for, or which bundle you're going for, then if you look in the timestamps, or sorry, in the description box below, you will see the timestamps. So you can go straight to bundle 1 or whichever bundle it is that you want to go to. And obviously, if you want to watch all of them, if you want to watch 2 of them, whatever it is, that's absolutely fine. You can watch, and I'm sure you will get something out of every single one of them. And I just hope that it helps you to live the best life that you can. So before I show you the bundles, let me show you what decks we're working with today. So the main tarot deck that I'm working with today is the Tarot of Dreams. And this deck, I've chosen this deck on purpose today because it's bold, because it's bright, its colors are so vivid, its images are so obvious. Okay, there's no subtleties about this deck at all. Its images are strong, its colors are bold, and the messages that it gives is really, really strong. And that's what I'm looking for today, because the voices in our head are so subtle. So when we try and understand it, when we try and hear it, we need loud, we need obvious, so that we don't ignore it. Okay, so Tarot of Dreams is the tarot deck that we're going to be using to answer the 4 questions that we have. And then you can see here I have listed the oracle decks. Well, I've displayed the boxes of the oracle decks that I'm using. So the first one that we're going to use, I never remember what it's called. What's it called? The Divine Energy Oracle. So that's the oracle deck, and it is one that I've used fairly recently in my FriYay, but I'll explain when we get to the bundles why this deck again, because it really just, it works. And then I'm also using journey cards, and journey cards pack a punch. Okay, they've got such strong messages, such messages of whatever we need. So they fit into the plan, into the scheme. Right, so those are the 3 decks that I'm working with today. So it's a Tarot of Dreams, and it's those 2 oracle decks that you can see over there. And yeah, we've got 4 questions, all to help us recognize, hear, and understand the voices in our head. Right, so let me perform my magic. So on screen right now is an image of the bundles that are available to you. So all I ask you to do at this point is to take a deep breath in. Fill up your lungs, lift your shoulders, lower your jaw, lift your head high, high, high. Take in as much air as you can. Hold it for a brief second and exhale it all out. Let's do it again. Take another deep breath in. Fill up your lungs, lift the shoulders up high as you can. Sit up tall in your chair and then exhale it all out. Take another deep breath in. Exhale it out when you're ready. Allow yourself to feel grounded. Allow yourself to feel secure in your seat or wherever it is that you are at the moment. And just look at the image that's on screen and allow yourself to be drawn. Allow yourself to feel drawn to a particular bundle, and know that that is the bundle that has the reading, the message, the guidance that you need in your life right now with regards to listening to the voices in your head. If you feel like you're drawn to more than one, that's absolutely fine. Then you watch more than one, but allow yourself to be drawn to a single pile, a single grouping of cards. And when you know, right, so when you know which bundle you're going for, if you need to pause the video to do a meditation on it, or to use your pendulum, or to use any method you can, or any method you have available to you to pick your bundle, then that's absolutely fine. And then, as I said, when you know which bundle you're going for, you can just look in the description below, and there will be the timestamps that will take you straight to your bundle. Right, so we're not going to dilly-dally any longer. Let's get straight into it. I'll see you there. Hello and welcome to those of you who chose bundle 1 as the bundle that has the reading, the message, the guidance, and the inspiration that you need in your life today. Welcome, welcome. So I am using the Tarot of Dreams, and it is quite a large deck, so shuffling is going to be a problem, you know me. But let's get straight into your reading and let's see what voices you have in your head and what the voices have to say to you today. So friends, as you can see by the topic, we are looking at the voices in your head today, and yeah, the information as to how I came about that and how this how it all works and how it all unfolds, I've put in the intro. So if you watch the intro, you'll understand how I came about this topic and how I came about this information. So let's get straight into it. So let's start the shuffling the cards, and let's ask Spirit to draw near. Let's ask Spirit to protect us, to surround us in loving light. And let's ask Spirit to guide our reading today and to make sure that the cards that we draw today be the cards that have the reading, the guidance, the inspiration, the understanding that we need in our lives right now so that we can be the best versions of ourselves that we need to be. All right, and so it is, and so it is. So friends, I have got 4 questions that I have written out, or that Spirit have guided me to try and help us understand voices in our head. And the first question that we're asking is, what voice is in your head? It's not a who, okay? And we can't have a who because, you know, there's obviously many of you that watch these videos, and each one of you will have a different who as to being who is the voice in your head. So we can't ask the who, but we can ask the what. So is the voice in your head, is it a voice of panic? Is it a voice of ideas? Is it a voice of strategy? Is it a voice of fear? What kind of voice, what voice is in your head right now? Right, let's draw a card and see what voice we have in your head right now. Right, let's have a look and see what we've got. So this is the 3 of Swords, okay? And the 3 of Swords traditionally in typical tarot, 3 of Swords is the card of heartbreak. It's the card of having some kind of pain, emotional discomfort, emotional loss, all right? And if you have a look, I want to see if I can just get the camera to focus on the card. You can see that she's got her hands over her heart over here. So she is protecting her heart. She's putting on a brave face. You can see there's some tears in her eyes and tears running down her cheeks. She's putting on a brave face. She's not being a complete basket case with her emotions, but she's definitely protecting her heart, holding her hand over her heart center. She's definitely feeling the feels, okay? So the voice inside your head is a voice of sadness. It's a voice of heartache. It's a voice of pain, all right? That is the voice that you have in your head at the moment. Something is causing discomfort. Something is causing pain. There's this, the words or the thoughts or the ideas or the voice that you're hearing is one that's constantly reminding you of any pain, of tragedy, of heartbreak, of some kind of heart discomfort, okay? So that is the voice that you have in your head at the moment, okay? So now let's get some more information on it. So I'm picking up our tarot deck again. What we now want to know is we've identified what the voice is. We've identified that for you it's a voice of heartache, it's a voice of pain, it's a voice of disappointment, it's a voice of just heartbreak, really, okay? Now we want to know some friendly advice from this voice. So if this voice were to speak to you now, if this voice were to give some friendly advice, what friendly advice would this voice give? What does this voice have to say to you today? What friendly advice does this voice have for you today? And we're going for that card over there. Right, so this particular deck of cards has extra cards. And its extra cards are palace cards. So palace is location, it's an area, it's a space, it's a place that we occupy, okay? And for you here, we have got the Palace of Cups. So cups is the place of emotions, all right? Because that's what cups represent. Cups represent our feelings, represent our emotions. It represents the things that we feel. So we're feeling heartbreak, okay? Our voice in our head is talking about all the disappointments, all the heartaches, all the heartbreaks, all the things that have gone wrong in your life. That is the voice that you have going like this in your head the whole time. What is the friendly advice that this voice has for you? And it's telling you to recognize that there's a time and a place for those thoughts. There's a time and a place to be listening to that voice. And you know what? Maybe what we're doing is we're allowing this voice of heartache and heartbreak to overwhelm us, to occupy too much time and space in our lives, because that's what this place card is saying to you. This place card, and I know it says palace, but a palace is a place, it's an area, it's a location, it's a surrounding, okay? And that's how I'm interpreting it. And basically what it's telling you is recognizing that there's a time and a place for those feelings. We don't have to be carrying around our heartbreak all the time. We don't have to be allowing our heartbreak and our pain to rule us, to control us all the time. We need to recognize, I'm going to call it healthy boundaries. Just as a palace has healthy boundaries, just as a palace has a protective wall around it, you need to do that to your own feelings, to your own heartbreak. So this is the friendly advice, okay? This is the friendly advice from your voice inside your head. It's telling you, yes, we recognize there's sadness. Yes, we recognize there's heartbreak. We recognize there's disappointment, we recognize all of that, but understand that there's a time and a place to release those emotions. There's a time and a place to deal with those emotions. And maybe you are allowing those emotions and that voice to overrun and to overrule everything that's happening in your life. Okay, so that's the friendly advice. Let's leave it on the table. Picking up the tarot deck again, and now we are onto our third card. And the third card, so we're continuing along the vein of advice, but now we're looking for some sage advice. So sage advice is more serious, more take notice of. Okay, so the friendly advice was, you know what, we recognize the feelings, but there's a time and a place. That was the friendly advice. Now we want to look at the sage advice. So really, what is this voice? What is this voice of heartbreak, this voice of pain, this voice of disappointment? What is it actually all about? What is the advice that it actually has for you? The sage, serious advice around the heartbreak, around the pain and the discomfort. What is the sage advice from this voice in your head? Right, and we're going to go with that card. So the serious advice that we have is the Knight of Pentacles, or the Knight of Coins. And what I like about this card is that there's movement and there's action, okay? You can see that the horse is moving. You can see that the rider, first of all, I mean, just look at him in all his gold. Let's just see if I can get the card to focus. Look at him. Isn't he just gorgeous? I love the green and gold. Absolutely exquisite. And the horse is really wearing its best. He's wearing its best. Look at the armor that so they are very well protected. Nobody is going to hurt them, okay? And they are charging off. They are moving forward. They're not worried about who's behind them. They're not worried about where they've come from. They are fixed on the prize. They know what they're working towards, and they're just going. And the sage advice from your voice in your head is telling you to stop overthinking things, to recognize how safe and protected you are with all your armor on you, with everything that you've got going on you. Everything is actually going to be working okay, but you've got to be more focused on your physical being. And I say physical being because this is coins. Coins has got to do with physical, tangible, all right? So the way that I'm interpreting this card is telling you that you've got to be more focused. Instead of being focused on the emotional disappointment and the emotional pain and the baggage and the heartache and the hurt, it's time that you put your armor on. Recognize that there's a time and a place for releasing the pain, for releasing the emotions. But you've got to charge on. You've got to move forward in your life. And you've got to do that on a physical level. It's time to move on. It's time to put your protection on, to put your armor on, and to move forward. Okay? That is the sage advice. It's the only way that you're going to overcome this voice in your head. This voice of sadness, this voice of heartache, this voice of disappointment. The only way that you're going to overcome that is by marching ahead, moving forward, and allowing yourself to progress. Okay, gosh, that's quite a stern talking to, isn't it? Right, let's pick up the deck again. So the last question that we have, that we're asking of the tarot, that we're asking of Spirit today, is we recognize the voice now, okay? We recognize the voice, we hear the voice, we hear what the voice has to say. We recognize, we hear it all. But how do we do this? Okay, because, you know, it's easier said than done. I know that, especially when we're talking about matters of the heart, especially when we're talking about things that cause so much pain in our heart center. It's easy to say, just move on, you know, very easy to say, just move on. But we know that the reality of that is actually quite different. We know that the reality can be so different. So how? We recognize the advice, we recognize what's been said, but then what we're asking is, how do we take action? How do we move forward? How do we take the advice, and how do we allow ourselves to move forward? What is it that we need to do? How can we move forward to take the advice, to take the action that the voice in our heads is giving us? And we're going for this one. Oh, we have another palace. Oh, wow. Oh, wow. First of all, can I just say how beautiful these cards are? Their colors, the pictures, everything is just so bright and just so bold and just so absolutely gorgeous. So look at that palace. That palace is absolutely exquisite. All the green is the color of healing. It's the color of understanding, and it's the color of money, okay? And then what we have over here is we have abundance, all right? We have got beautiful animals. We've got beautiful plants. We've got mushrooms. I love this little mouse over here. Isn't he just the cutest little thing you've ever seen holding on there? They're all over the place, okay? There's another little one here in front of my finger. So this card is talking about abundance. It's talking about just being in your space and being happy in your space. I want to compare it to this one. Can you see how this one is underwater? It's drowning. It's, you know, it is also, it's absolutely beautiful. It's absolutely exquisite, but it's not as attractive as that one. Okay, so how do you move past this hurt? How do you move past the pain? How do you move past the disappointment and all of that you're feeling at the moment? This voice, this little voice inside of your mind that keeps telling you you're not good enough, you're going to fail, nobody loves you. That little voice all the time, that voice of hurt and heartbreak and pain that you have all the time. How do you move past it? This card is telling you by focusing on your pretty surroundings. Make your surroundings gorgeous, make your surroundings pretty. Focus on being in a place that brings you joy. Only put yourself in places that bring you joy and happiness, and make sure that you always look good. Because you know what, when you're having a bad day, and let's be honest, we all have bad days. When you have a bad day, the last thing you think about is doing hair and makeup, okay? But when you do hair and makeup, and I know this isn't for everybody, I know not everybody's into hair and makeup, but when you do dress up, when you do put on good clothing, when you do surround yourself with pretty things, it does make you feel better. So this is the advice, this is the how. So let's go through this. The voice inside your head is a voice of sadness, a voice of heartache, a voice of disappointment. And it's telling you whether it's disappointment and sadness and heartbreak about yourself or about another person or another relationship, we don't know. Okay, that is for you to determine. That is for you to decide. But you are constantly having these thoughts in your head. You are constantly hearing this little voice in your head that talks about pain, talks about heartache, talks about disappointment. The friendly advice from this little voice is that there's a time and a place to shed those emotions. There's a time and a place for those emotions, and you mustn't let those emotions overwhelm you. The sage advice, the strong advice, was to just start moving forward. Just start moving on. Recognize that you are safe. Recognize that you are protected. Recognize that you've got your armor on you. But it's time for forward movement. And how do we do that? By surrounding ourselves with people, places, circumstances, and situations that bring us joy and that make us feel safe, that make us feel as if everything's going to be okay. But it's about beauty. It's about beautiful surroundings. So I am going to say, looking at this card, go out into nature. Go and spend an afternoon outside with people that you know, people that you love, and people that you enjoy. And if you do that, you are going to overcome your sadness, overcome this little voice in your head quicker than you realize. All right, so I'm going to leave that one on the table here. And now let's pick up. So this is the Divine Energy Oracle. So the reason why I chose these two Oracle decks to work with today for our pick a card is because they're not about the pretty pictures. So the tarot deck is all about the pretty. The tarot deck is about the bold colors and all of that. But the Oracle decks that I've chosen are really just about the text. It's really just about the message. And I think because I wanted us to focus on the voices in our head, I thought it would be really appropriate to only focus on the text, to only focus on the voice in our head. So from this Divine Energy Oracle, we're asking here, what is this voice in our head, this voice of sadness and disappointment? What else does it need us to know? What else does it want to say to us? What else? What is the rest of the message, or what else do we need to hear? How else can we overcome the sadness? How else can we overcome the pain and the disappointment that we are experiencing? And I'm taking that one. Yeah, you see. So that makes perfect sense to me. The card says make a plan. So it's telling you, don't allow yourself to get sucked into that sadness. Don't allow yourself to get sucked into the, oh, woe is me kind of energy. It's telling you, no, not that one, it's this one. It's telling you, move forward. Make a plan, make it happen, okay? No more excuses. No more excuses. It's time to get on your horse. It's time to put on your armor, and it's time to move forward. It's time to progress. Make a plan. Spend some time outdoors. Spend some time in nature. Spend some time surrounding yourself with peoples and situations and circumstances that bring you joy. Make a plan. Don't allow yourself to be a victim of your own circumstances. You need to act on it. You need to make the plan, and you need to move forward. And if you do that, happiness and success is going to be yours. And then I'm now going to pick up the journey cards, okay? And again, there's not much image. There is a pattern on these cards, but there's not much of an image, but the text, it's the text that we're after. It's the text that's going to have the message that we need. So continuing with our making a plan, continuing with our listening to this little voice in our head that is causing us pain and discomfort, what else, do we need to know? What else is important and significant for us to know? What is the message? Oh my word, here goes the bad shuffling. Let's try that again. You guys know me, I'm just a clumsy shuffler. Right, what is the message from the journey cards? What else do we need to know in listening to this voice in our heads? What is important and what is significant? And we're going with that one. Right, oh, the colors are so bold and so beautiful, but the message says, if it doesn't terrify and excite you at the same time, change isn't big enough. Oh, I love that. Let's do that. Let's get it front and center so the camera can focus on it. The camera doesn't want to focus on it. If it doesn't terrify and excite you at the same time, the change isn't big enough. I love that. You know what? We again, it's human nature, especially when we're feeling this heartbreak, especially when we're feeling this pain, especially when we're feeling this vulnerable. It's human nature to just make small changes. It's human nature to just tweak a little here and tweak a little there and a little adjustment here and a little adjustment there. That's never enough. That always leaves us still feeling in the same kind of vibe, in the same kind of energy. And this is really what Spirit is saying to you today. Listen to that little voice in your head. You are in a place of sadness. You're in a place of unhappiness. You're in a place of lack of joy, if I can put it in that way. And you have to make a plan. You have to make a plan and you've got to get yourself out of there. Nobody's going to do it for you. We need to shift from this place of overwhelm of emotion to this place of happiness and joy. And the only way that you're going to get there is by moving forward. Moving forward. So friends, with love and blessings from my heart to yours, I hope that reading just resonated with you, just connected to something in your space. You will obviously adjust the reading to be relevant to your life. You know what's going on in your life at the moment. But I hope the advice, I hope the friendly advice, the sage advice, and the action that you need to take, I hope it makes sense to you. And I hope it just really helps you to be the best version of yourself, because that's all we ask for in life, is for you to keep evolving, to keep growing, to keep learning, to keep adapting, and to keep becoming a better version of yourself. So until we meet again, love and blessings from my heart to yours. Take care. Hello friends, and welcome to those of you who chose bundle 2 as the bundle that has the reading, the message, the guidance, and the inspiration that you need in your life today. Welcome, welcome. So today we're looking at understanding the voices in your head. Quite ominous, isn't it? If you watch the intro, you will understand how I got here. You'll understand the story behind the topic and how I pick topics each week. Certainly very interesting, never dull in my life. But anyway, let's get into your reading. So the decks that I'm using today, this is the Tarot of Dreams that I'm working with. It is quite a large deck, and you know me, clumsy shuffler and all that. So let's hopefully I don't throw them all over the table. So let's get into it. So as I shuffle these cards, we're asking Spirit to draw near. We're asking Spirit to wrap us in their protection, in guidance, in love and understanding. We're asking that the cards that we draw today be the cards that answer the questions that we have, and that the cards that give us the message that we need to have the understanding and the clarity that we need in our lives, so that we can all become better versions of ourselves, because that's what it's all about. And so it is, and so it is. All right, so we all have little voices in our head, and to try and understand the little voice inside your head, I have got 4 questions or 4 things that we're going to be focusing on and looking at here on the table in front of me. And the first one we're looking at, the first card that we're going to draw, is to identify what voice is in your head. So it's not a who, okay, because in all honesty, there's so many people who watch these videos, and each one of you will have a different who, and there's no ways that I can do a reading for the collective for everybody, picking out everybody's who. So we're doing a what. So is the voice that you have in your head, is it a voice of panic? Is it a voice of throwing cards on the table like mine? Hold a second, let me just pick them all up. Is it a voice of doubt? Is it a voice of fear? Is it a voice of panic? Is it a voice of excitement? Is it a voice of what? What voice is it that you have in your head? So let's get a card and see, what voice do you have in your head right now? What voice do you have in your head? And we're going to go with this one. Right, so we have Page of Wands energy. First of all, I have to say, this deck, the cards are so, the images are so bright, so vibrant, the colors are just so bold. And that's why I chose it, because I wanted it to be loud. I wanted it to be in our face. I wanted it to be crystal clear. I didn't want any kind of, oh, but maybe this or maybe that. So these cards are really absolutely amazing. So the voice in your head, we've got the Page of Wands. So Page of Wands, he's a little bit apprehensive. He's a little bit nervous. He's a little bit uncertain of himself. He's got a lot of knowledge. He's got a lot of understanding, but he doesn't have a lot of practical skills. He doesn't have a lot of practical knowledge, okay? So he knows what he needs to do. He knows what he can do. He knows what he should be doing, but he's a little bit nervous to put himself out there. So there's a little bit of doubt that comes through with him, okay? He has an important job. He has a lot of ambition, all right? There's a lot of things that he wants to achieve with his life. There's a lot of things that he wants to do. But there's always this little uncertainty. It's like, oh, but can I? What if I do this? What if I make a mistake? What if, you know, so there's a lot of doubt. So the voice inside your head is a voice of doubt, a voice of apprehension, a voice of uncertainty, a voice of a little bit of low self-esteem, really. Okay, so that's what's coming through for you with this one. So that is the voice inside your head. Right, so now let's pick up the deck again. So we've identified what the voice is that you have in your head. What voice is in your head and what is it telling you? What is it talking? What is it saying? Now what we're looking for is we're looking for some friendly advice from that voice. So what friendly advice does that voice have for you today? This voice of fear, this voice of insecurity, this voice of not believing in yourself, this voice of being a little bit uncertain. What friendly advice does this voice have for you? What does this voice need you to know right now? Friendly advice from this voice in your head. And we are going with this card. Right, so here we have the Emperor. So the Emperor, and again, just look how gorgeous these cards are. I just love them. The colors are so bold and so bright, and there's just so much character, and especially with this card, and that's what the Emperor is all about. The Emperor is all about being strong, all about being confident, all about being brave. I mean, just look at how he's dressed. Just look at everything that he has. That gold color. I mean, there's like an abundance and an excess of gold. It's like a little bit over the top, isn't it? But you know what? If I had that much gold, I'd also be over the top with it. But the Emperor is basically the card that says to you, it's about standing confident, standing tall, not allowing your insecurities to take control. He is ruled by Aries, okay? And you know what Aries are like. They're all about fire starters. They're ahead of everybody else. They're the people who will chop down the bushes and make way for everybody else to come through. They might not be very good at following through, but they are starters. They initiate, they create, they get things going. They start the fires. Somebody else can do the cooking, but they start the fires, okay? And that's what the Emperor is. The Emperor is telling you, you know what, you've got to trust and you've got to believe in the processes. You've got to believe in the steps. You've got to believe in the actions, all right? You're not allowed to question. You're not allowed to allow your insecurities to take control of you, because the Emperor, he's got no patience for doubt. He's got absolutely no patience for doubt. He's like, you know what, get over yourself, all right? That's what the Emperor would say to you. Just get on and get busy, get doing it. So the friendly advice from your little voice of doubt in your head, your little voice of insecurity, your little voice of, but what if I fail? But what if I can't do it? But what if something goes wrong? But what if? Your little voice of what if is basically saying to you, you have to stand tall, you have to stand strong, and you have to recognize that you can do this, all right? Whatever it is that you're doubting, whatever it is that you're fearful of, whatever it is that you're over anxious about, the Emperor is telling you, you've got this. You have absolutely got this. Right, so that was the friendly advice from the voice in your head. Let's pick up the deck again. And now we want to get a little bit more serious, okay? So we're understanding what the voice is. We're understanding what voice you have in your head. We've received some little bit of friendly guidance or friendly advice from this voice, but now we want some more serious guidance. So we're looking for some sage advice from this voice. So really speaking, once we've overcome our insecurities, what else does this voice need us to recognize? What is the sage advice from this voice that we need to hear right here and right now? So some sage advice from our voice of insecurity, our voice of doubt, our voice of uncertainty that we have in our head. And we're going with this one. So here we have the Two of Coins. First of all, we have to notice that he is completely open, okay? He's not wearing any clothing. He is completely transparent. He is completely exposed. He is completely naked. He's not feeling vulnerable at all. He's actually feeling quite confident. He's looking at these two coins. He's looking at these two discs in the air, and he's like, well, Which one am I going for? What's the differences? He's weighing his pros and cons. He's looking at his options, okay? And he's trying to decide which is the one that he's going to go for, which is the one that's going to suit him better. And actually, they are both exactly the same. Now, there's a couple of things I want you to note on the card, is the background here and the background here, okay? So even though these two discs, these two coins at the top are identical, each one takes you down a different path. Each one talks about a different outcome. And he's basically weighing up his pros and his cons, and he's trying to decide which one has the better option for him, which one's going to serve his purpose better. Okay? And that's really what he's doing. He's being completely open, he's being completely transparent, he's being completely exposed, if I can put it that way. He's not feeling vulnerable at all. He's actually put his insecurities away. All right, he's left them back at home, and he's now saying, well, okay, so I've got some decisions to make. He's weighing up his pros and cons, he's looking at all his options, and he's going to make his decision from that. So watch your little voice in your head, your little voice of insecurity, your little voice of doubt, your little voice that says, I don't know if I'm ready, I don't know if I can. What if I make a mistake? What if I make a boo-boo? All right? That little voice is basically saying to you, if you weigh up your pros and cons, if you truly analyze and truly look at the options that are available to you in your life, if you really remove all the clothing, remove all the if, buts, and maybes, remove all the kind of doubts that you have, and truly just explore the two options, you will make the right decision. But if you hide and try and look from a distance and try and observe and see, then you're always going to feel insecure. You're always going to feel vulnerable, and you're not going to make the right decisions. You need to be completely open and transparent. Okay. So the voice inside your head is saying trust in yourself, but do the deep work that needs to be done. Make the decision by doing a pros and cons list, by looking at everything in depth. And if you do that with no clothing, with no obstacles, with nothing getting in the way, you will make the right choices and the right decisions, and then you won't fail. Then your insecurities are completely, because you will get your confidence, the confidence to carry out the things and to do the things that you want to, will come from having a solid action plan, from knowing exactly what you're dealing with, by knowing exactly all the risks that you can take, that if I choose this one, this is where I'm going, this is where I'm going. It's about recognizing the options that are available to you. And when you are more confident, when you know exactly what you're up against, when you know exactly what you're facing, suddenly you will be more confident. It's the fear of the unknown that makes you feel vulnerable. It's the fear of the unknown that makes you feel like, I can't do it. I can't do it. So get all the information, get all the facts and figures, recognize, write down the pros and cons list, have all that information available to you, and you will make the right decision. Good, I like it. So picking up the tarot deck one more time. What we're doing now, our fourth card, is really, so we've heard the voice inside our head. We've recognized what the voice is. We've recognized what the voice is saying. We've also heard some friendly advice from the voice, and we've also heard some sage advice, okay, that's telling you just to get all the information. Now, what else do we need to know? How can we take action? How can we actually do this? How can we implement this advice that we've been given from this voice inside our head? How do we progress? How do we take action? How do we move forward? And the card that I'm taking is this one. Oh, wow. Okay. So here we have the Page of Cups. So our voice was Page of Wands. And how do we implement? How do we take action? How do we move forward and progress? We've got the Page of Cups. So the Page of Cups is more on an emotional level, okay? The Page of Wands, he's more physical, he's more practical, he's more the doing. The Page of Cups, he's more emotional, he's more about feeling. And if you look at him, you can see that there's a naivety about him. You can see that there's an innocence about him, okay? And this is really what the pages are saying to you, is you've got to recognize that you've still got a lot to learn. There's still a lot of growing that needs to take place within you. You've got a lot to learn, you've got a lot to grow, you've got a lot to comprehend, a lot to understand. There's a lot that you still need to feel and emote, and you've just got to recognize that. So you've got to, how do we overcome our insecurities? By recognizing them, by admitting to them, by speaking about them, by working through the emotions of them. If you work through the emotions of your insecurities, you will be absolutely fine. I love that. Let's put them together. Can you see them? Aren't they gorgeous? I love these cards. Absolutely exquisite. So, putting them on the table here in front of me, and I'm now picking up, if I can, the first Oracle deck. So this is the, I'm trying to read it over there, the Divine Energy Oracle. So the two Oracle decks that I'm using today, I've chosen on purpose, and I chose them purely based on the fact that they're not really visual, they're not really pretty, they're not really about the graphic, they're more about the text, they're more about the message, okay? So the tarot card I chose is the pretty, okay? And those colors are so bold and so bright and so in your face. But when it came to these two decks, I wanted decks that were just about the message, just about the voice in the head and not about the visual, all right? So from this particular deck, what we're wanting to know here is this voice that we have identified, this voice of insecurity, of feeling vulnerable, of feeling like we can't do it. What else does this voice want us to know? What else does this voice want? What other advice does this voice have for us? How can we overcome it? How can we heal it? How can we clear it? And how can we move past it? Let's see what we get. I am picking that one. You see, sorry, I have to put these two together. So the card says express your joy. Okay, and you know what? This is the card of insecurity. This is the card of doubt. This is the card of like, I don't know if I can do it. Panic, 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 panic. Okay, express your joy, express your excitement. The reason why I've partnered it with this card, and this was the How card, because that card is about expressing. It's about expressing emotion. It's about letting out your feelings. It's about connecting with your feelings. It's about acknowledging your feelings, recognizing your feelings, and working through your feelings. So express your joy. Okay, I love that. I absolutely love that. Right, so let's leave that one on the table in front of me. And I am now picking up the Journey cards. And again, the Journey cards, they do have pictures on, but the pictures are more of a pattern than a picture as such, but it's the text. So let's see, how else can we overcome our insecurities? How else can we overcome our own self-doubt? Our own belief that maybe we're not good enough, that maybe we're not all that we want to be or need to be. What is the message that our voice inside our head has for us today? What else does the voice need us to know? What else is important and significant? Let's see what we get. Oh, my colors, I love it. And the message, so you can see it's just a paisley pattern, but the message, it says, change and happiness is an inside-out job. Start investing in the right side of the equation. Change and happiness is an inside-out job. Start investing on the right side of the equation. Doesn't that make total sense? Our insecurities are inside. Our insecurities and our doubts are inside. We know on the outside, because that's what the Page of Wands is. The Page of Wands says, you know what you have to do. You know how you do to do it. You've got all the knowledge. You've got all the understanding on the practical steps to take, but you are doubting your ability to do it. So that's why this card is coming through. So one more time. Oh gosh, camera doesn't want to focus on it. Change and happiness is an inside-out job. Start investing on the right side of the equation. I love that. I absolutely love that. So friends, those of you who chose bundle 2, that is an incredibly powerful message. And I do hope it connects with your heart and soul. I do hope it makes sense to you. I do hope that you can connect it to something that's going on in your life at the moment, to a voice that you have in your head, and that you can better understand that voice now and better make the decisions, make the changes that you need to live a better life, because that's what it's all about. So with love and blessings from my heart to yours, until we connect again. Take care. Hello and welcome to those of you who chose bundle 3 as the bundle that has the reading, the message, the guidance, and the inspiration that you need right now. So today's theme is the voices inside your head. Quite an ominous theme indeed. And if you watch the intro, you will know exactly where it came about and how it works and how I pick the topics that I grab and that I use each week. So this week, the cards that I'm working with is the Tarot of Dreams, which is, I've chosen this deck because the colors are so bold. You can see they're so bold, they're so bright, they're so strong and powerful, because we need that to hear this very subtle voice that we have in our head. And then these are the oracle decks that I'm going to be using, but we'll get onto those a bit later on. So let's get straight into your reading, shall we? So let's start shuffling. So these cards are huge. My hands are, you know me, I'm a terrible shuffler. Terrible, terrible, clumsy shuffler. So excuse me if I start throwing cards over the table. And there we go. I often think I need to put another camera up facing the table. I'm like, no, because then you're just going to see me throwing cards all over the place. So, all right. So friends, let's set the intention. Let's get into it. So as we shuffle these cards, we're asking Spirit to draw near. We're asking Spirit to surround us in their loving, protective energy. We're asking that the cards that we draw today be the cards that give you the reading, the message, the guidance, and the inspiration that you need in your life right now. We're asking that we help, that the cards give us the understanding of this little voice that we have inside our head. The understanding and the clarity. Let the messages be clear. Let the messages be concise. And let the messages be uplifting. So it is. Right, so I have got 4 questions, or 4 things, or 4 questions that we have to ask. And the first question that we're asking, oh gosh, is how does Rene throw cards all over the place? Well, very easily. Let's try that again. Okay. Question number 1, first thing that we're asking is with regards to the little voices that we have in our head. What voice is in your head? So it's not a who, okay, because we can't ask who. Obviously this video is watched by so many people, and everybody has a different who that is talking to, that they're hearing in their head. So this is not a who question, this is a what. What voice is in your head? Is it a voice of uncertainty? Is it a voice of fear? Is it a voice of emotion? Is it a voice of structure, of planning? Is it a voice of fear? Is it a voice of doubt? What kind of voice is it that you're hearing in your head right now? So what voice is in your head? Let's see what we get. Okay, so we have got the 6 of coins. Right, let me get the card into focus. You can see why I chose this deck. Isn't it just exquisite? The colors are so bold, they're so bright, they're so clear. And the images talk their own language. They speak for themselves. It's almost like you don't need me to interpret it. So what's happening here? If we just have a look at this card, what's happening here? So we have a gentleman who is dressed very well. He's clearly wealthy. He's clearly, you know, on the upper class, if I can put him that. He has got, in his hand over here, he has got a scale full of coins, scales full of, and he's trying to work out how much he actually has. He knows he has excess. He knows he has more than he needs, or more than enough. And what he's doing is he is offering, he is helping, he is offering his excess to those who need it, okay? So I want you to just really look at it. So you can see there he is offering, and I mean, I know that he's got a zodiac sign, he doesn't have a coin, but he is offering assistance, he is offering guidance, he is offering whatever he has in excess to those around him. So what voice is in your head at the moment? It's the voice of helping others, of being of service to others. This is who you are. This is what's happening in your head at the moment. It's either you are doing it or you want to be doing it, okay? So the little voice that you have in your head at the moment is the voice of help, of helping others, of being of service to others, and of doing right by others. Okay, so that is the little voice that you have inside your head. It's a little voice of service. I think I'm going to call it that. It's the little voice of service. Right, I'm going to put that on the table here in front of me. Picking up the deck again, and now what we're wanting. So we've identified what voice you have inside your head. The voice of service, the voice of wanting to help others, the voice of wanting to use your excess, whatever your excess is. It doesn't always have to be financial. Using whatever your excess is to help others, to guide others. So now we're wanting to know from this little voice that you have inside your head, some friendly advice from this voice. So what friendly advice, what simple, easy, friendly advice does this voice have for you right now? So if this voice could talk, if this voice could talk and could give you some friendly advice, what friendly advice would it be? And we're going with this one. I love this card. And again, just look at the colors, just look at the clarity, just look at it. Isn't it just exquisite? I just love this deck. Only it was just a little bit smaller for my hands. So it is the 3 of Cups, and the 3 of Cups in one word, is the card of, well, card of joy, card of celebration. Okay, it's about recognizing and coming together with your significant people, with your friends, with your family, and celebrating and recognizing the abundance that you have. So that's why we have the masks. The masks represent the people who are important and significant in your life, and the cups are you can see they're all full. They're all containing some kind of glorious liquid inside them. So the Three of Cups is about celebration. It's about acknowledgement. It's about coming together with your significant others and celebrating life. Okay. So the little voice in your head is about helping other people. It's about being of service to others, making sure that whatever you have extra of, that you are giving and sharing that with others. And as I said, it doesn't always have to be financial. The friendly advice from your little voice is to celebrate that, to recognize and to acknowledge how fabulous you are for being that person, for wanting to be that, for offering and for giving and for being of service to others. Recognize and celebrate and acknowledge that, because it's a wonderful, wonderful trait to have. Okay. Now we have identified what voice you have. We've received some friendly advice from that voice. Now we want some little bit more serious advice. So celebrating that we have this good trait within us, that we have this desire within us to help others is one thing, but surely we need to do something more with it. So what sage advice, what strong, serious sage advice does this voice actually need you to hear and to heed today? So sage advice from this voice. What is important and significant? What is this voice that we have of being of service, of helping and guiding others? What sage advice does this voice have for us? Dropping cards. And we are going with this one. Oh, wow. It is Emperor energy. Okay, first of all, look at all the gold. Look at the opulence. Look at the fabulous amount of gold that he's wearing. Isn't he gorgeous? Look at his strong jawbone. Look at his muscles, and he is dressed fabulously. And everything around him is just gold and glorious. Okay. The Emperor is about standing tall. He's about being control. He's about recognizing his effect, or the effect that he has on other people, recognizing that without him people are nothing, recognizing that he is the most important person. Okay, one of the things that I have to say about the Emperor energy is that Emperor energy does not work on emotions. It's all about physical, practical, logical. Okay, it's about structure, it's about rules, it's about regulations, about all of those kind of things. And I think, and remember, this is the sage advice that your voice in your head has for you. So the voice in your head was basically saying to you that you have this need, this desire, this ambition to be of service, to help others. You are always thinking about helping others. You are always doing your best to give to those around you, to give to those less fortunate, to give even maybe not even to those less fortunate. Maybe you're just one of those people who gives everything that you have to anybody who asks. Okay, the friendly advice from this voice is to celebrate this, to recognize that you're actually a good person, that you're actually fantastic, you're amazing, you're wonderful, and you're fantastic. Okay, the sage advice though is to recognize that there maybe need to be some boundaries. Okay, maybe there need to be some boundaries, maybe there need to be some rules, and we mustn't do it from a point of emotion, we mustn't do it from a heart center. Okay, we mustn't do it like, oh, but shame. Okay, no, we need structure, we need rules, we need boundaries. That's what the Emperor is telling you. The sage advice from your voice is saying, don't just give all the time. You need to recognize that there's a time and a place. And you also got to recognize your own personal limits, your own personal restrictions. What part of yourself shouldn't you be giving so freely? What should you be giving so freely? What can you give and what can't you give? So he's about, let's have some structure, let's have some foundation, let's have some rules and regulations in place before we just give the whole time. So that is the sound sage advice from the voice in your head. And yeah, I mean, if you have extra to give, then isn't it just great that you can? But you know what? Unfortunately, people always take advantage of you because of your kindness, because of your generosity, because you're a good person. People will always take advantage of you. And that's why the Emperor is telling you, you know what? Let's have some rules. Let's have some basic rules, some basic foundations so that that doesn't happen to you anymore. Okay. Right, so picking up the deck one more time. And again, I know easier said than done, isn't it? Especially when you've been giving for such a long time, especially when you've been that person that everybody knows. You know, if they go to you, you're just going to handle it. You're just going to sort it out. You're going to resolve everybody's problems for them. So you can't now suddenly go, no. Well, actually, you can, but we feel like we can't. We feel like we can't suddenly be this emperor. We feel like we can't suddenly be this person who has rules and has boundaries and things like that, because people are going to look at you and go, what's happened here? All right. So now what we're asking of this little voice in your head is how do we take action? How do we implement this emperor energy? How do we take this advice? How do we take the sage advice that our voice has given us, and how do we implement this? How do we take action on this advice that the voice in our head is giving us? Let's see. How do we take this? How do we take action? And how do we resolve all of this? Okay. So this card is Two of Swords. And again, just look how beautiful it is. I love the colors. I love the detail. I love everything about it. Absolutely exquisite. So the Two of Swords, you can see that she's got a blindfold on. Okay. And the blindfold matches her dress. So that makes you think, is it part of the outfit? Is it part of the outfit or isn't it? She's also holding two swords with her. All right. So that means that she's got the means to protect herself. She's got the means to defend off anything that she may need to. The blindfold is not a very effective blindfold, okay? We have to recognize that. It's not very effective. But what is the blindfold doing? Blindfold prevents you from seeing. It prevents you from seeing directly what's happening in front of you. The two swords that she's got in front of her, it's almost like they are guarding her, almost protecting her. And she has put herself into this situation on purpose. She's choosing not to see the truth. She's choosing not to look at the situation for what it truly is. She's choosing to have this blindfold across her eyes and to not see what's right there. Okay. So how do we implement rules? How do we implement structure? How do we implement all of this that we need to? What your little voice inside your head is basically saying to you is choose your battles. That's really what I'm going to say. Choose your battles. Choose to ignore some. Choose to pretend that we can't see. Pretend that we can't see. Pretend that we don't know that it's there. And choose our battles. Choose who you want to help and who you don't want to help. Choose where you can explain yourself and where you're not going to explain yourself. You have the choice of choosing what you want to pay attention to and what you don't want to pay attention to. And again, because you're a nice person, because you're kind and generous, because you're always giving all the time, you feel like it's your duty to help everybody. You feel like it's your duty to just be available all the time. So here, how do we stop that? How do we implement structure, rules, and boundaries? And it's saying to you by being ignorant, pleading ignorance, sometimes pretending you can't see somebody's hand up saying, hey, help me, help me, help me. Sometimes it's about putting that pretend up and pretending that you don't see them. Put the little pretend blindfold on and say, actually, sorry, I didn't see you there. Okay. So sometimes ignorance is bliss. That's really what I want to say about that Two of Swords for you. So how do you implement the rules, the structure, and the boundaries? By pretending you don't see it, by choosing what you look at and choosing what you don't. But it's also about, I almost want to say, about being a little bit deceptive, about, not revealing all parts of yourself, keeping some things hidden. All right. I like that. So now I am picking up Oracle deck. And this is the Oracle deck over here, which is the Divine Energy Oracle. And the two Oracle decks that I'm working with today, I chose them because they're not very pretty. And what I mean by that, I mean they are pretty. They are pretty, but they're not about the visual. They're not about the graphic on them. They are more about the words. They're more about the text. They're more about the message. They're not so much about the pretty pictures. So the tarot deck I chose because it's bold and it's strong and the colors are vibrant. But these two Oracle decks I chose because of their subtleness and the fact that they are just the text. It's just the words. So from this particular Oracle deck, we want to know from this voice inside our head, what else does it need us to know? What else is it trying to tell us? What else is it screaming out so loudly that we need to hear and that we need to know about today? And you ready? This one. Make a plan. All right. You know what? So it comes back to our Emperor energy, because Emperor is all about plans. He's all about plans and systems and regulations and, all of those kind of things. So you need, with regards to the help that you give to others, have a plan of what you're going to do, when you're going to do it, who you're doing it for, how you're doing it, how often you're going to do it. Have a plan. So if you're in business, business plan, okay? Strategy. This is what this is telling you. You need to have a plan. You need to have a strategy. So it's not just an emotional thing of when somebody asks and you say, sure, here, have it. It's more about having a solid structure and base. So make a plan. I love that. And now from our journey cards. So again, the journey cards, they do have an image on them, but it's not really about the image. It's about the text on the cards. So carrying on with our theme of the voices in our head, what else do we need to know? What else do we need to be mindful? So we understand we need to make the plan. We understand we need to leave emotions out of our plan. We understand all of that, but what else is important when it comes to helping others, when it comes to being this person of service, when it comes to being somebody who's always helping and guiding other people? What does this little voice in our head want us to know today? Love the colors. These are so my colors. Right, and the message says, your first and most important job is you. Redirect your energy. But doesn't that just make sense with everything that we've said today? I just love it. I just love how 3 completely different decks just bring the same energy, bring the same message. So your first and most important job is you. Redirect your energy. So it's telling you, this little voice in your head is telling you to stop giving it all away and focus on you. Take all the emotion out of the situation. Make the plan. Choose what you want to look at. Choose what you will see. Choose what you won't see. And don't feel like you have to be open and honest with everybody. You can be a little bit deceptive. But the most important thing is that you redirect your energy and focus on. Right. So friends, I do hope that you enjoyed that. I do hope that that whole message just sort of spoke to something in your life and just helps you to be more confident and to be more sure of yourself and to make the decisions that are relevant, to make the decisions that are appropriate for you, and to become the better version of yourself, the best version of yourself that you can be. Because that's what it's all about, isn't it? So, with love and blessings from my heart to yours, until we connect again, take care.